Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. Happy March 1st. And in Indiana, March went in like a lion. Do you guys know that from back in the day when you were a kid in elementary school? We would make, I've talked a lot about this on the vlog, on my vlog, but we would make on like paper plates, like one side we would make lions and on the other side we would make lambs. And then we would do that before March 1st. And then however March comes in, like if it comes in like a lion, and that means like storms and snow or rain and wind and all that kind of stuff, then it's supposed to go out like very nicely like a lamb, like very gentle, you know? But if it comes in like a lamb, it's supposed to go out like a lion. Well, today it was beautiful weather in Indianapolis. Hardly any clouds. It was just beautiful outside. So I have a feeling the end of March is not going to be pretty, but that's okay because I'm not going to be here anyway. I'm going to be on vacation at that point. So yeah. I actually read meditations today that were all recovery-based. So I wanted to, tonight, it's already the evening, it's 7:15, I wanted to read from the Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone. And I also wanted to read The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. You know, these are two of my favorite meditation books. I have no idea what they're going to say, so I'm just going to kind of go with it. Come here, Pee-Pee. The dog's just ate. Pee-Pee the flying chihuahua. He said, I think I would like to be in a video today with you, Dad. So, you want to be in the video? He said, yes. I'm going to sit down over here. He'll go over the, there he went. There he's sitting. He always sits right next to me. So, I'm going to start with the Book of Positive Quotations. Go to March 1st. I haven't looked at this. I have absolutely no idea what this meditation is about. It might be bonkers. It might be great, but I hope it speaks to somebody out there today. I always try to, whenever I'm reading the meditation books, you know, try to find something in everything that I read. There's often that I read the books and I'm like, did you hear that? That's Tucker in the kitchen pushing his dinner plate around. Pushing Pee-Pee's dinner plate around. Can you hear that? Ah, the sounds of home. So anyway, Pee-Pee, did you finish all your dinner? He said, I did, but Tucker's trying to get every little bite off of it. Okay. So often when I'm reading meditation books, I'll read it and I'll be like, kind of like, like that didn't really apply to anything that I'm thinking about today. But I try to find something out of everything that I read. That's also the reason why I have so many books. And, you know, if I'm reading 5 meditations in a morning, it's hard for one of the books not to like resonate with me on some level. But that's not usually the case. Usually the case is, you know, I'll read 5 books or, you know, 3 or 4 books. And most of them apply, but maybe one won't. That's usually what happens. So that's why I read, you know, multiple meditations. Okay, March 1st, keeping it positive. And the quote is by Herm Albright. A positive attitude may not solve all your problems, but it will annoy people enough to make it worth the effort. People with negative attitudes are easily annoyed by people with positive attitudes. This may be because they see positivity as an implicit indictment, as if they were being charged with weakness, cowardice, or self-indulgence for giving in to their own negativity. On the other hand, people with positive attitudes rarely seem annoyed by people with negative attitudes. This may be because negative people are such easy targets. There's not much sport in taking them on. Even with some of the crabbiest people I know, maybe especially with the crabbiest people I know, I'm going to say positive today. It will be interesting to see how they react. Really interesting meditation, you know, and I don't know that it necessarily applies to anything that I'm personally going on, that's personally going on in my life today. You know, it's interesting because having a positive attitude in life through the years has been something that I've struggled with, and I've talked a lot about that on here, that, you know, as an alcoholic and an addict, Pee-Pee just jumped down, and now that he sees Tucker over here, he's going over to Tucker's plate. So this is the game we play. But, you know, there was a period, I think it was about 5 years ago, long before I was ever on YouTube, and I've talked about this, that my husband would say, you know, you kind of get up and you look at things in a negative way. You look at things as the glass is half empty or whatever. And that year for Christmas, I gave him a picture of me smiling, and it's still next to his bed. And I said, I want you to have this picture because this is what I'm going to give you for the next year. Every day that I get up, I'm going to make a conscious effort of being in a positive mood. And it was something that I worked very, very hard on, and seeing the blessings in life, and seeing the gratitude in life, you know, and seeing the positive in life. And it's something that I've worked very, very hard on, you know, not just in the last 5 years, but specifically in the last 6 months. I've worked very hard on it, you know. And it's interesting when you do that, when you focus on yourself and instead of everything else that's going on outside of you, you realize, you know, what you're in, what you're not in, like, you know, what you have control over, what you don't have control over. And what you realize very quickly is you really only have control over anything to do with yourself. Like, you only have control over your attitude in a day, right? So every day that I wake up, and yes, I wake up often. Like, people ask me, they're like, how do you stay in a positive mood all the time? Well, I don't. Like, I mean, I have days that I wake up that I'm stressed out, or I'm like, I can't get all this done, or, you know, I'm like, oh, upset about something that has happened in my life, or whatever. But, you know, I try to look at that and say, like, you know, what if this were the last day of my life? Like, how would I want to live it? What would my attitude be? You know, what do I want to put out there in the world? Because the reality is that I do affect other people around me by my attitude. My husband, my best friend, my friends, you know, that I see on a regular basis or talk to on the phone. Like, I affect them and I affect myself. One of the things that we very rarely talk about is, PP, you gonna keep on jumping down all through the video? He said, I just wanted to make another appearance. Did you get all of Tucker's food? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. But, you know, I think one of the things that we rarely talk about is that when we have a really negative attitude, the person that we affect the most is ourselves. And today, I choose just not to engage in the negativity. I choose not to. I choose, you know, not to be a part of that. I don't have people in my life today that are negative, you know, and, it's been a blessing. I mean, it really, really has been a blessing. There are, you know, days that I really, really struggle with it, and, you know, that I have to work very, very hard to stay in the positive. But the reality is that on any given day, there is so much to be positive about that I can choose to be positive or I can choose to be negative, and I do believe today it is a choice. And that's the thing I've learned that's been the greatest lesson in the last, you know, 5, 6 years, is that being positive or being negative, seeing the glass as half empty or seeing the glass is half full, is really up to me, and it's a choice. And so today I choose to be, you know, positive, I choose to be happy, and I choose to be focused on those things that bring me joy, that bring me happiness and positivity, you know? I also believe, you know, we want to talk a lot about like energy and karmic energy and things like that. You know, I don't know how much I really believe in all of that. You know, I've said often, and even on videos in this channel, that I've seen people in my personal life, 10, 20, 30, for the last 30 years, you know, that I feel like put out a lot of negative energy, and yet they thrive. So I don't know how much of that I believe in, but I also don't know their own level of personal happiness, you know. So I know when I'm not being the best version of myself inside, I don't feel right about that. So I have to continue to work on myself and be the best version of myself that I can be, you know. And so every day that I wake up, I have to think to myself, who do I want to be? As far as like energy, what's interesting to me, if you want to take it outside of the idea of like, you know, new agey like energy and things like that, I do believe that like positive attracts positive and negative attracts negative. I really do believe that. So if I'm hanging out with a lot of people that have negative attitudes, by and large, my attitude is going to be negative as well. And if I'm hanging around people that are very positive, okay, that their outlook on life is positive, like my friend Tanya, she's very positive in life. And my husband, you know, by and large, is very positive, and his family are so positive, you know, that when I am revolving myself around people that are positive, I'm going to be positive because they're not going to want to really hear a lot of negativity, but also their positivity is going to rub off on me. And I think it's all about finding a group of people around you that are like-minded or that think the way that you want to think, you know, like if you want to be successful in a certain area, it's about like, you know, finding people that are doing those things because you're around people that are passionate and creative and, you know, thoughtful and things. And I think the same goes for being positive and being negative. If you're around a lot of people that are very, very positive and they're putting positivity out there in the world, it's just going to rub off on you in a positive way. So, you know, I think that's one of the things I've had to think about through time is who am I choosing to spend my time with? Okay, that was a good meditation though, actually. Let's go on to the language of letting go, March 1st. Watch, it'll have absolutely nothing to do with anything. It'll be like a recovery thing, and then I will feel like if I do it, and there's only a couple people out there that will relate to it. So let's hope it's something just really broad. Okay. Oh, letting go of anger. Letting go of anger, March 1st. In recovery, we often discuss anger objectively. Yes, we reason. It's an emotion we're all prone to experience. Yes, the goal in recovery is to be free of resentment and anger. Yes, it's okay to feel angry. We agree. Well, maybe. Anger is a powerful and sometimes frightening emotion. It's also a beneficial one if it's not allowed to harden into resentment or used as a battering ram to punish or abuse people. Anger is a warning signal. It points to problems. Sometimes it signals problems we need to solve. Sometimes it points to boundaries we need to set. Sometimes it's the final burst of energy before letting go, or acceptance settles in. And sometimes anger just is. It doesn't have to be justified. It usually can't be confined to a tidy package. And it need not cause us to stifle ourselves or our energy. We don't have to feel guilty whenever we experience anger. We don't have to feel guilty. Breathe deeply. We can shamelessly feel all our feelings, including anger, and still take responsibility for our behaviors. I will feel and release any angry feelings I have today. I can do that appropriately and safely. Interesting meditation on the heels of what we just read, you know? I am a believer that any emotion that we have is honest, you know? And that we're going to be, you know, angry at times, and we're going to be sad and whatever. But specifically talking about anger, you know, anger and resentment, holding grudges, things like that are not a luxury that I have in my life today. You know, in recovery, we talk about resentment being the #1 offender. And resentments for me, anger, is when I, you know, like, there's a saying that resentments are unfulfilled expectations. And so when I look at that, you know, and I look at resentments for me, anger for me, is when I think that a certain situation or a person should have acted or turned out a way that I expected and it didn't, then basically what that says is that I'm setting too high expectations for things in my life. And then again, I have to bring it back to me. You know, why am I choosing to set such high expectations for people? What can I learn from this situation? Is anger where I choose to sit? I remember years and years and years ago, this person that I know, like this one day, she was just like so angry. And, you know, at that time, the way that I handled it was kind of like through some humor. And I was trying to like get her out of being angry, you know, and she just was staying stuck. And she looked at me and she goes, "I'm choosing to be angry." And I'm like, okay, well, at least you know you're choosing to be angry. You're choosing to stay stuck in it. I don't usually choose to stay stuck in anger anymore. You know, like, I just don't like who I am when I'm angry and resentful all the time. And, you know, if I realize that there is something that is making me angry or making me resentful, I have to look at the cause of that, of how it's affecting me. Like, this is the inventory part that comes into it. And speaking of inventory, I talked to my sponsor for a long time on the phone today, and tomorrow is her birthday, and I want to wish my sponsor a very, very happy birthday, her sobriety birthday. And, you know, the thing is that for me, like, to hold on to all of that, I have to take a look at, how is it affecting me? Like, what is the specific situation and how is it affecting me? You know, and then B, like, you know, what areas of my life is it affecting? And then C, what is my part in that, you know? And maybe my part in that is that if I have somebody in my life, or I have a situation in my life, you know, that is just continuing to bring me anger, that I'm not looking at it as having happened the way that it was supposed to happen, which is acceptance, right? And I'm also then resistant to the lesson. I'm totally resistant to what I'm supposed to learn through that experience. Because for things that happen to me that make me feel that strongly in any emotion, you know, there's probably some kind of lesson that I can learn through that that's going to improve me. Not fix the situation. I have to stay out of that, of trying to think that I can, you know, and then I have to say, okay, you know, what can I learn from this? Like, let's just not let this be some situation that happened in my life that I look back on 10 years later and I'm just like still angry and resentful about. Like, what can I learn from this? And it's hard. Sometimes I don't want to see the lesson in it, you know? Sometimes I also don't want to see that, you know, maybe the lesson is that I have to distance myself from certain situations or people or things like that, you know, and I have to, you know, say goodbye to certain things in my life. And that's okay today, you know, and I realize that today that's okay. And that really at the end of the day, I have to work on myself, being the best version of myself. Boo Radley is down here crying. I have to work on being the best version of myself that I possibly can be. And I have to stay focused on that journey, you know, and often when I get off track of that, of realizing that that is the journey that I'm on, life sometimes forces me back into that, you know, and sadly enough, anger is a way that it forces me back into that, because when I get very angry or upset about situations, which I do from time to time, then I have to look at that and I have to say, why is this situation really pulling this emotion out of me? And then what it does is it focuses, because I go through the inventory, and then it focuses me back on myself to say, well, what's your part in that? What did you do? You know, what can you fix about yourself? How can you improve yourself to be a better version every day, you know? And then it brings it back to me, and then what I realize is I'm back on that journey again. But sometimes I get off the road. We all do, you know? I try not to beat myself up today too bad about being angry, and if I am, and that's my response, you know, I try not to be reactionary. I try to be responsive and, you know, learn from that situation and say, you know, this isn't who I want to be, and, you know, because anger doesn't look good on me. It just doesn't. And I don't know that anger looks good on a lot of people. I do know that anger is a very powerful emotion, and sometimes when we're angry, sometimes when, you know, that kicks in inside of us, we feel powerful, and we, you know, like rage is a powerful emotion as well. But, you know, the after emotions of all of that, the emotional roller coaster that I put myself on by feeling that angry, you know, I don't like that. And I don't, you know, afterwards like how I've treated people or talked to people, or how I've treated or talked to myself inside my head. I just don't like that, and I don't want to feel that way. So today it's easier for me to take a look at my anger, call, you know, one of my support people or my sponsor or whatever, or talk to my husband and say, like, I'm really frustrated, I'm really angry, you know, and I don't know what to do with this. Talking it out, looking at my part in that, and sometimes it takes a couple days, you know, and I'm getting better about it. You know, I'm a work in progress, and I'm, like I say, you know, on that journey of being the best person that I can be, and I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to be the best, you know, but I can continue to work towards that. And taking these things that happen to us, taking anger, you know, and all of this, and, you know, trying to stay positive through that. Not like always being fake, but maybe sometimes faking it until you make it, until you get there, you know. Sometimes it's okay to put a smile on our face and have no reaction whatsoever and just continue to push through, you know. Sometimes when I look back on my life, it's been better for me to say nothing at all. And I'm learning that, you know, I'm learning that I can have these emotions and I can learn how to deal with them in a healthy way. And that's a learning experience that I've learned through many things that have happened in my life, you know. And, you know, even with like my mom's passing, I felt very, very angry at the time. Like I didn't know that I understood it. And the anger wasn't anything that made sense. It wasn't rational anger, you know. I just was angry. I was upset, and I missed her, and I was sad. And all of those emotions are okay. They're fine. I can feel that way, but I don't want to be stuck in it. And I don't want to be stuck in that today. I don't want that to be what my life is about. You know, like I say this a lot, it's but a dress rehearsal. We're only here for a short period of time, and I choose to try to stay in the positive today. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.